Good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Truck Focus podcast. Super excited for today's episode as I get to have a conversation with two of the founders and professionals that are really helping our industry across Canada, Chad Vance and Michelle Graham. So Chad and Michelle are the founders of ReadyChek. ReadyChek's a vehicle inspection reporting and recording tool. ReadyChek enables fast and accurate regulatory compliance for commercial vehicle safety inspections across Canada. Both Chad and Michelle have strongly been involved in the software development space for 20 plus years with extensive knowledge in the life cycle management, product management, just across different sectors and global support. Another thing that I truly respect being a family man myself is their passion for their family. So in today's episode, it's going to be super beneficial for carriers and drivers, just trying to navigate what is electronic inspections, how do we get away from paperwork, as well as just learning more about ReadyChek and Michelle and Chad. So welcome. I'm excited to have you guys here.
Hey, Josh.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So like I mentioned off camera, I'm excited for today's episode. And a lot of it is, I think our industry is really at a tipping point right now with, do we still heavily rely on paper, or do we get away from paper altogether, and trying to find what that looks like. And a little bit that I know about you both, I can see where your minds are at. Obviously, ReadyChek as a product seems to be really superior. And yeah, I'm just excited to kind of see where this conversation goes. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. I'd just like to quickly jump in there, though. We do have a third founder, right? And his name's Daryl Bates, and it was actually his idea. He came to us, so just that starts us off in that direction. So we can keep going if you like.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Daryl. Virtually in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. Just being very familiar in the electronic space, the importance of thorough pre-trip inspections, but the ramifications of not doing things properly, learning of ReadyChek and the solutions, the ease of use, that kind of stuff. I thought it was really powerful. So yeah, I'm excited that you guys are here. So Chad, why don't you start us off, kind of paint a picture. Who is Chad? A little bit about yourself and your backstory.
Right. So my name is Chad Vance, obviously, and I grew up in Ontario here and went to school for computer software, and then joined the computer software industry here in Waterloo, which is quite extensive. Kitchener-Waterloo, which is quite extensive, and then spent most of my time in software development, and then switched to a leadership position. I'm a director actually at a local software company, and also doing ReadyChek on the side. Once Daryl came to us with the idea, and we investigated and decided it was a good bet. So that's how we started.
Awesome. How about yourself, Michelle? Share a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so I also went to university for computer science, and I ended up learning after a couple of years doing some coding myself that coding was not in my future as something I really enjoyed doing. I preferred the people side of things, so I very quickly got into an internal support role, helping the developers and doing a lot of the promotions of the code and taking care of sort of the stuff that makes their job easier. And then I moved into an administrative role over a system that I sort of volunteered to lead that project. And then I moved into software development again, but as a support representative to help our global customer base learn how to use our product and the best ways to use it, take in their requirements, and learn the best way to help them solve their problems, which wasn't always by doing what they said, but learning what their problems were and figuring out how to resolve those problems with our product in some way, shape, or form. After doing that for several years, I learned that I like to have a little more influence over development as opposed to just telling development what the customers are saying. So I got into product management so that I could have more impact on getting things done that I thought needed to be done. So I've sort of run the whole gamut of support, being a customer, helping the customer, and then helping develop the product that the customer needs. So sort of the whole run there. And then otherwise it's just family stuff and sports and a little side gig I have with my photography company, and then our sort of joint family stuff of fishing and hanging out and being outside and doing things together. So
powerful.
Driving our kids to 17 different places all the time for hockey and horseback riding. And now we have a dog, which Chad loves. And then,
That's awesome. Yeah. I love learning about people's families and what kind of makes people tick outside, because I really think that's what really fuels the fire to be in the spaces that we're in. And something that I'm learning, I'd say, on software, on problem solving, and Michelle, what you just described, is you have to be really empathetic to get to a point where you can solve a customer's problem. Mm-hmm. Because if we go into a conversation being like, yes, I know this, yes, I know this, yes, I know this, okay, you're not actually hearing what they're saying. And that's something that really stood out in just how you're kind of describing basically your life in this space is, okay, you're empathetic, and then having the expertise to build, and not just, again, crack a whip to say, do this. It's like, no, let's really work through this process. I think that's really important. Especially right now in today's is just like human beings, us as people, we rely heavily, obviously, on software, on technology, and in advancement. And if we're not being heard, it's really, I think that's an unnecessary roadblock. And I've experienced that myself, where this is my problem, how can you fix it? And they're shooting in the stars up here, and I'm like, that's not where I'm at whatsoever. So yeah, it's nice to see for sure. And it's cool that you could do it from that massive of a scale to bringing it into the transportation sector too. I think that speaks volumes for sure.
Really easy in the support world to take what a customer is telling you that they need, because they'll tell you, I need a blue button. I need it to do this. Our guys really need this. It's super important. It's really easy to go, you know what? Maybe you don't need a blue button because this is how the product works, and you just need to understand better how the product works. It's easy to discount what they're saying and just think that they don't know how to use the product, versus listening to and asking them why they need the blue button, because sometimes they don't need the blue button. Sometimes they don't need any new button. They just didn't know that the product could do something in a different way, and it's just education. And sometimes the product really can't do what they need, but a blue button won't really solve it. It would be the best patch they could think of instead of what a proper fix would be. So it's really easy to not get what they're saying unless you're willing to step back and ask why they need whatever they're asking for, understand their processes, maybe even talk to their users and watch what they do and see if they're using the product the way you expected them to, because maybe they don't use it the way you expect them to at all. And all they're doing all day is jumping through hoops to force themselves to use something the way you designed it versus what would really help them. So I learned a lot going through support and product management about how we sometimes make assumptions about how people do work, and then we program accordingly when really we're not even understanding exactly how they're doing their job to give them a better solution. So that's where I really found my niche in terms of understanding what people did in support and product management. And that's what I enjoy about working with customers now.
It's powerful, especially in this space. Being in transportation, there's a lot of different culture. English isn't always the first language. And just knowing I need to meet these 19 requirements without the blue button, what do I do? And being able to have that ear to hear, I think, is a gap in a lot of just systems that are out there too. So that's nice to see, like, as founders, and I'll include Daryl in that part of the conversation too, obviously, it's nice to see that you're willing to hear what people need to say. And like Eric, who's not on this conversation, but that's what I say all the time, is I'm like, I'll say 5,000 words and you can summarize it in 3. And I'm like, 3 of the words is what people need to hear, but I just don't know how to get there without saying everything first. And it sounds like you guys have that ability too, where, okay, I get it. Okay, this, instead of all of those hoops and roadblocks that people don't need to face unnecessarily. So that's powerful. Can you kind of walk us through then, I guess, how did ReadyChek come to fruition? Like, what kind of created the dream? What was the problem that you wanted to solve? Can you kind of paint that picture?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So in 2019, Daryl and I, we know each other through hockey. Our kids play hockey together, and we play hockey together. And he's in the industry. He drives a truck every day, short haul, for cable contracting company. They do work for Bell and Rogers. And every morning he's doing his circle check and he's writing the exact same thing out on paper, right? Some mornings his pen's frozen, so it's a little harder. Some mornings he fills out his circle check or his daily inspection, and then somebody else takes his book because they don't have a book in their truck, and all of a sudden he doesn't have his inspection anymore, and he hops in his truck and he drives away, unknowing, he didn't know about it, right? So he was running into all of these problems, and then after a hockey game we had here in Waterloo, he said to me, "Hey, Chad, this is the problem I have." And he showed me a daily inspection, and he said, "Is there any way we can do this in an app?" And I looked at him and I said, "You guys still do this on paper?" Right? Right? And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, okay, yeah, we could totally do this as an app. But I need to know what else is out there, right? Before I invest some time and, resources into this."
Yes.
And then, so that's when, Michelle and I started discussing it, and we actually went on a little bit of an adventure for 3 or 4 months where we would basically ask everybody and anybody who was in the trucking industry where they recorded their daily inspection. And it's amazing how many people are actually in this industry, right? You don't really understand. And then when we started asking around, it's like all of our friends, right? Like they have a vehicle and they have to do a daily inspection, or their husband or wife does, or whatever it is, and it's buses and it's dump trucks and transport trucks and everything. You're like, oh my gosh, everybody has to do this.
Landscapers, plumbers, electricians, roofers, like fence builders. It's just, and everybody knows somebody who's got a truck with the little yellow sticker. And we started driving down the road, yellow sticker, yellow sticker, yellow sticker. We couldn't believe it. It's like every 10 vehicles had a yellow sticker on it. And we're just like, this is crazy. This is a huge local market.
Yes.
And in stopping them at gas stations and around and talking to family and friends, they all use paper.
Yeah.
Then we did an app search through phones, like looking for apps online, looking for apps on the web, looking for apps in the app stores of our phones. And just, we didn't see anything that had the Ontario regulation and Canada regulation specific stuff in it. They were all like rental car apps or design your own question apps.
Yeah.
Everything that was just very heavyweight for adoption for any of these small companies. Or we found some that were additions to the larger ELD products that none of these guys, small companies, local companies, they can't afford that. They don't have to use ELDs. They don't need to use ELDs. They can't afford to use ELDs. And they're driving their own pickup trucks. They're driving vehicles that are sometimes their shared family vehicle. This isn't an investment that they can afford to make and still run their business. So
yes.
Yeah, we saw a huge need and we just said, okay, well then let's do it.
Yeah. And yeah. And, and we got quite creative too. Like we'd see a bus pulled over, just sitting there waiting to pick passengers up, and we'd run in and we'd say, "Hey, did you do a daily inspection today?" And the driver would look at us and go, "Are you with the MTO?" So the Ministry of Transportation here in Ontario. And we're like, no, we just want to know how you did it. And then, of course, they'd pull out a piece of paper. So after those 2 to 3 months of market research and our own, little investigations, we decided to go all in. So that was in early 2019. And then Daryl was our first guinea pig with the first few versions of the app, and he helped refine it. And yeah, we went official like in February of this year. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good market research story too.
Well, and it was really good because we had 2 customers that were very willing. And they were in 2 different, so one's a Schedule 1 user, one's a Schedule 2 user. So it was great because it covered both.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them very early on in 2019 said, sure, we'll test it out. We'll show you. And they're still customers today and they're very happy, and they, give us ideas and lots of feedback. So it's great. It's been nice having some early customers that jumped on board quickly, because it's helped us also have knowledge to increase to get more customers. So
that's right. Yeah. Proof of concept's awesome. But when you actually have industry experts giving you day-to-day real time, this is this advice and guidance along the way. It's super important.
Yeah. And then we also had one customer too who found out the value the hard way, I'm going to say. So yeah, a company here in Ontario, and they actually had paper logs, and they were daily inspections on paper, and they were testing us out at the same time. And a truck actually of theirs caught on fire and burnt. And yeah,
it's just overnight. Some spontaneous
yeah.
thing in the engine. They don't even know exactly what did it, but it was sitting in the yard by itself next to another truck, and that truck was a rental truck. And they got a call the next morning, your truck's on fire.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, we've put it out.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean our truck's on fire? Because no one was at the yard. So the fire trucks were called by the owner of the lot.
Wow.
So they came in and their truck was destroyed, totally melted. The rental truck the cab was melted on one side, and they lost over a year's worth of books that they had not taken into the office, but were storing in the cab in the console. So
needless to say, they adopted the product right away. Yeah. they went from demo mode to full implementation in a week, I think. So you know, it's also great to help in that sense, right? Like ReadyChek is designed to help, and it can clearly relieve a number of, you know, concerns that drivers should have. And yeah, so it's great to see them. It's great to see so much usage so quickly.
Yeah, incredible. So ReadyChek as a summary can be identified as an electronic inspection program, or how would you best summarize exactly what ReadyChek is?
Yeah, so I always say that it's digital vehicle inspections, you know, recorded on your phone, right? There's
phone or tablet, any mobile app.
Phone or tablet, your mobile device, as long as it has Wi-Fi or an LTE connection, it can do everything you need it to do. And then there's also a web portal for the owner, the operator, and the safety manager to use.
Nice.
To look at those inspections and to make repairs and stuff like that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know that's to me, that's one of the exciting parts, just because I'm familiar with that space. So, so when we're thinking carriers, something I think industry, as you guys learned through your market research, what is a commercial vehicle that requires like a DVIR, a daily vehicle inspection report, is way bigger than what most would think. Most, in my experience, think, well, it's a semi traveling down the road. I'm like, okay, it's a small percentage of when you think of big picture. And obviously each province, there's different requirements on how they define a commercial vehicle and when a trip inspection report's required. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's the landscapers, the fencers, the linen companies, the toilet cleaning, like thousands of opportunity to be identified as a commercial vehicle. So that's a huge target audience.
Yeah, exactly. And that's who we're geared towards, right? Is we're geared towards the companies that work within that 160 kilometer radius from home, you know, from their home base, whatever that is, either their house or their office, their headquarters, you know, because like Michelle said, the drivers and the companies that drive further than that, they have to have an ELD, you know, eventually. Not this year, but next year, you know, they'll have to have an ELD here in Canada. And those ELDs come with this type of thing. But the people who are doing the 160 or less, they're doing it all on paper, and they don't really have any tools to do that. They have some clumsy ones and things like that are out there, but
they can't afford the systems that come with ELDs. And what we've also learned from looking at some of the inspection tools that come with the ELDs, their apps don't have great ratings either. And a lot of that probably has to do with, while they do sort of add these little inspection tools to the ELDs, that's not their target market. That's not where their money is. That's not where their focus is going to be. So their response time to fixing issues, adding functionality, making things user-friendly is not going to be quite as fast as a smaller company whose primary audience is the people doing these inspections. Right. Sure, anybody could use us, even the larger companies, but we know that they've already invested in that ELD. So why not use the tool that comes with it? I guess if they get really frustrated, they can use us out of spite, but it's not necessary that they use us when they have other options. But these smaller companies don't have that option. So not financial.
Super smart. That's right. Yeah, I am super smart, and it's a massive niche.
Yes.
And from a entrepreneurial standpoint, that's exciting because it's not every day you come across a massive niche where, like you said, friends and family were doing this. And it's like, yeah, and they know someone that's doing it, and they know someone that, so yeah, it's extremely important.
Yeah, we can't even go for a walk around our neighborhood without, looking at, they're having a roof put on, they're having their fence made, they've got a landscaper spraying their yard, like just a walk around to take the dog, 2 blocks around the house, and you've run into 6 or 7 potential customers.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny, that's almost word for word what I say to my 11-year-old if we go for a walk, is because we're in a newer development right now. So there's just dump trucks and landscaping companies, and I always pay attention to their GVW on the side of the door, and I'm like, oh, there's a customer. Oh, I could help that because it's just like a lot of times they just don't know, and that's fair. They think they're a landscaping company, but you're actually a trucking company that's landscaping.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So there's always a disconnect.
Yards everywhere, just carry your kids on the walks and leave them in the doors.
Yes. Yeah. I can help you solve this problem.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So how has the response been so far when you're working with not just clients, but I say carriers and drivers, operations? Have you had a positive response? I personally really like the personal connection. This is what I can't figure out, and there's a person that gets it talking back to me. I think that's huge. But what's your experience been so far?
Yeah, so I like that connection too. That's one of the great things about being in this industry is you're hands-on with the user base all the time, and that's wonderful, right? To talk to them and to know what problems it is they're having and the pain points, and to help solve them. But Michelle, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so I created, just because we'd been live now for almost 6 months, I created a survey that went out to all the customers, just an online thing to sort of get their feedback, ask for what they'd like to see changed, if anything, any new features they'd like to see right away. And all of the feedback was positive. It was either they're satisfied or they're very satisfied. The majority were very satisfied. And the most popular feature that they wanted added, we just put in this week, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So, we're able to respond very quickly to the things they ask for. So they've been very positive. The phone calls I've had with a few of them are very happy. So it's been good. They like the layout. They like how easy and quick it is to use and to do their inspections. And they like that it's simple. They don't need a lot of training to understand how to go through it. So,
yeah, that's powerful. What do you think the biggest hurdle has been this far from your guys' standpoint?
Well, I think the biggest one initially was our fear that whatever we created wouldn't be compliant and we would get people in trouble. We didn't want to get anybody in trouble. So we spent considerable amount of time ourselves doing the research, figuring things out from a regulation perspective, to help us create sort of those initial builds that Daryl had to guinea pig for usability and stuff. And then we were very fortunate because we ran into just online through social media. We started following and discussing with Tri-Shield Consulting.
Nice.
And these guys are like, they're pros. They've done this for most of their adult careers. Is they've been compliance officers for the police force, and they're now retired. And so now their job and what they do is they consult with companies and help them learn everything they need to do, both from an inspection perspective and from an internal audit perspective, to make sure that their paperwork is done right, that they know how to record everything properly, that they store it for a long enough time, and that they make it easy on themselves so that if they are audited, they have their stuff, their information organized in such a manner that the auditor coming in to look at everything doesn't have to work very hard to find what they're looking for. So this has been their job. So we've partnered with these guys. Nice. And they looked at our app. They made sure we were compliant. They give us ideas all the time about what we could do better, how we could provide more information. And honestly, they help us whenever. I've had 2 customers already who weren't even our customers yet. As they're talking to me to decide if they're going to use the app, say, I'm just not sure about this. I'm not sure about these things. And I don't know what rules I need to follow. I hook them up with Tri-Shield. They have a phone call. They discuss it. They get help. And then they come back to us and they go, okay, let's try out the app. But TriShield's always there. It's a nice partnership to have their consulting and just have them around to help us out.
Expertise.
Yeah. So now the hurdle that we've gotten over the compliance part, because we're very confident with that now. Now the hurdle is just getting the word out. It's very difficult because a lot of these small companies, they're not on social media, all of them. They're just doing their job. They're just picking up people through phone calls, and they've got their numbers on the backs of their trucks, and people call them and go, hey, can you come do my yard? Can you whatever? So getting the word out so that they know we even exist and can try our product seems to be the hardest thing right now, because we haven't yet found the perfect medium to get in front of them and help show them the app.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
COVID threw a wrinkle in those plans too, right? Like a lot of them shut down or were on skeleton crews and staff. So
yeah,
no, that's fair. And yeah, definitely a shout out to TriShield. I think what they're doing is politically correct. It's about damn time. And I like, again, we were talking off camera on the this electrical barrier somewhere halfway through Canada that doesn't actually exist. And I think it's important that we build strong relationships like across our country. And they're leaders and they're passionate and they share accurate advice so regularly that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome. Because I'm aligned with some really phenomenal consultants on this side, like in Western Canada. And it's just really nice knowing that there's people that are speaking truth, they're confident, and they just have years and years of experience to back up what they're saying. So definitely a shout out to what they're doing. And it's nice to see that the collaboration and the partnership is there, because what they're solving and what you're solving, it's the same person, it's the same company, just different approach, obviously. And yeah, that's really powerful. So good job. And that's exciting. And yeah, with the marketing side, I think for, again, any startup, any smaller business, that's a challenge. So I'm happy that you guys are on the podcast too, because that's literally what fuels my fire, is learning of good experts. And if you've had a direct impact on my life, or I see that you're impacting others, but being able to proudly say, hey, check these people out. You got to, like, I like being that voice. So it's just nice that you guys are here. So you mentioned the audit process and obviously documentation and stuff. So if a carrier, or when a carrier is signed up, they're able to say to their auditor through MTO, or if they're in a different jurisdiction, when we're talking inspections, would they just be looking at the inspection report? Do you host the work order repair, or how does that whole process work? Whatever you are comfortable sharing.
Yeah. So from the website. So the main point of data entry, obviously, is the drivers doing the inspections in the morning. That's done on the phone, on their mobile device. And then right away, a copy of that information is sent to our servers and stored in a primary location here in Canada. And then the operators and the safety managers, they have access to that data through our web portal, right? So they log into our web portal, and they can see, the number of inspections that were done today, this week, over the last month, whatever timelines they want. And then they can filter on who reported problems, right? And then from those problems, they can see, okay, yeah, there's 2 or 3 trucks with some minors. I see what, Frank and Bob reported, and I'll go, let's say, order those parts so that they're ready for when they come in to the yard at the end of their shift to be repaired by those mechanics. And that's all part of the web portal workflow. And we also have that in the phone, right? So in the phone, the mechanics or the drivers can put in the work order number that was actually used to fix the problem that was reported.
Yeah, getting a more sophisticated work order repair side interface, I guess, is what I want to use for the portal. That's in our future in terms of being able to sort of track more of the maintenance on it.
Nice.
Right now, we allow you to sort of tie the inspection repair record to a work order. Hopefully in the future, you'll be able to even scan that work order and attach it as an attachment so that you can see it directly in the app or in the web portal.
Nice.
We're not there yet, but we do have plans to do that. Our biggest focus right now has been to be able to report all of these things, to report the repairs, and to make sure that all of that is captured properly and immediately accessible. So every time you finish an inspection, as soon as you hit save, and it sends everything to the server. An email is sent both to yourself so that you also have a PDF immediately on your phone if you want it or need it. And it sends a PDF to the email addresses that you set up for your operator so that they can see as they are done, when they're done, who did them, what status they're at. So that it works like a notification, so that if you see something come in that says I had a major or I had a minor, they know right away. They don't have to log into the web portal to look. They get it right in their inbox, and they can see that that's happening. So we sort of give you the on demand. You can go in and look whatever you want and everything's there immediately, as well as emails that can tell you right away what you want to see. And you can set up your email rules for your email client the way you want, so that maybe you only see the majors, maybe the rest get filtered to a folder and you don't need to see those. But either way, they can work like notifications. So
yeah, I think that you said two things there, both of you, that really, just thinking from a driver's perspective. So one, it's nice if you get asked by law enforcement, provide your trip inspection report, here you go, officer. But also from a carrier's, like the requirement to maintain record, it's nice too, because that whole workflow process, like you gave the example, a year worth of books in a truck that caught on fire, like the ramification. Right, exactly. I think that's a crucial piece. So again, speaking to carriers that are listening to this, that's a huge compliment to your business, because as we continue to accept paperless processes, carriers will realize they have less headaches when they go to bed at night. The cost savings from tracking a DVIR, the trip inspection report, to actually being completed properly, to getting it to the office, to actually being maintained, that costs money. And you guys have simplified it, like literally with entering information, hitting save. So that's really powerful. So carriers listening, but also drivers, just kind of speaking to the audience, when drivers are still learning, how do I use a cell phone? Okay, that's fair. But you have technical support, you have people that care about your success. And it's just nice to know that, like, I have chicken scratch writing, and I used to get in trouble at work because depending how you register as a company, you have to be monitoring this type of stuff. And people would say all the time, I can't read that. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I'm doing my best. So knowing, again, those concerns are gone. Law enforcement can clearly see, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That was really easy. So drivers can be more confident. Like, there's a lot of wins here, and I think that's really phenomenal. So really well done. That's exciting.
And just on that note too, and we've taken a lot of the errors that can occur, we've taken those away in the app, right? So we pre-fill in a lot of fields so that you don't have to put where you are in every morning, right? You can just hit a button that says, show me where I am, right? And it'll just GPS find your location. Nice. Or if you're at home, you press the home button, it'll put your home address in. And same with, the company address and
the date,
the
plate number, like all that information that you're just sick of writing every single day in the same fields for that form, because they're the same every single day. It does all of that. And any of the fields that it doesn't fill in, like odometer or other things, it won't let you save if you don't fill them in. So it does not allow omissions of required data. So you can't forget to do your declaration of no defects or minors only defects or whatever. You have to do it. It won't let you do it if you don't sign it. It won't let you save it if you're missing anything. So it's helpful, not just because it fills things in, but also because it won't let you leave out things that will get you in trouble if they're gone.
And it guides you through the process too. When you go to that inspection screen, if you miss something, it'll take you back to the area you missed and say, hey, you need to put in an odometer, right? Odometer reading value. So yeah, it can really guide you. And if you're really efficient in the morning, or sorry, the app's so efficient, you got it down pat, you used it before, there's basically, I think it's 4 fields you have to fill out and you're done, right? So
yeah, if you have no defects, it's literally 4 or 5 clicks and you're done.
You're done.
If you have defects, we also help you there, because once you know what part has the defect and you say, I want to report a problem with this part, it gives you a list of all of the schedule part defects. So you don't have to memorize codes. You don't have to memorize what schedule entry you need to put for this particular defect. They're all listed, and you just put a checkbox beside the one that is relevant to your current problem. If you're not sure of a particular schedule part and you don't know everything that you might need to look at for that, again, choose report. Doesn't mean that you're going to report a problem, but it opens up all of the part things to check. You'll read them all and go, okay, so I have to look here, I have to check here. Oh, these are all good. And you just say, okay, and it brings you back out and you don't report a defect. But it helped walk you through all the things you need to make sure to look at for that particular section of the schedule for your inspection. So that's helpful too.
Yes.
And also, I don't think we mentioned it, but you mentioned how it's helpful for if they get pulled over for a roadside inspection. We helped there as well, because we actually, for the driver, we've given them what we've labeled as an MTO button.
Nice.
But so we've put that in and we've said, if you click that, it basically gives a read-only view in the app showing your inspection. If they say, look, I can't read it, it's too bright, I can't read your phone, I don't want to deal with it right now, can you send me the PDF? Can you send me that data? Immediately after you've hit the MTO button, there's an email button, and you can enter in the email address of the MTO officer or the compliance officer for the local police or whoever has pulled you over.
Yes.
You can enter their email address and send them right then an email with the PDF showing the report. So we walk you through a roadside inspection by giving you a specific screen that helps in that process.
Powerful. Yeah, that solves, I just get super excited. But that solves a lot of pain points for people that don't realize this is the opportunity for error is so large with one piece of paper that you've just eliminated so many concerns. But you're also creating stats for that carrier, because if they're able to see, okay, I have a tire issue. Okay, what's happening? Who's doing my tires? Are they tightening? Wow, that's a lot of really high, almost invisible problems you're solving that I think a carrier going into it may not even think about. But all of a sudden they have, I just love data, but they have data saying, okay, this makes sense. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is a good vehicle. Or why is there a consistent problem with the exhaust in this, or something like that? Yeah. So anyway, I'm just kind of rambling, but I just get excited because the solution is so powerful, much more than I think at face value, what some people may think is, oh, it's an app. No. Like, this is a culture changer in the company. So
you're right, Josh. And there's a lot of excitement there. There's a lot of potential with data. You know, if there's a vehicle, let's say that consistently has a problem across fleets, right, across carriers, you know, we'll be able to identify that one day and say, hey, look, you know, from the data we have on a vehicle that's got these characteristics, you know, it might not be the best one to have, right? So,
and I think right now there's an ongoing truck shortage, partially to do to extreme weather, partially to do with the pandemic. But I think 2, 3, 4 years from now, when you have that data, you're able to work with fleets that still meet the 160 exemption. They're still in that niche space, but you're able to help them almost unintentionally make purchasing decisions based off of accurate input across, if it's across the country, or if they only want to know flat ground. I haul this much weight on flat ground. What can you give me? Okay, well, this is and obviously it's just confidentiality and stuff, but there's a lot of information.
All the data is random, so we wouldn't.
Anonymized.
It'd be anonymized. It wouldn't be tied to any specific user. Everything is encrypted, and so it's just data. It's just raw data across the database.
We'd be able to say things like, oh, you know, this type of pickup truck that has this model year, you know, these are the problems that you'll run into every year, right? Potentially.
Right.
So there's lots of chance for big data stuff there. So
and I think it's funny. So when someone, just speaking from experience, you think I need to go buy a truck because I have an overflow of business right now. Most people think of price. Maybe they think of warranty. They think, okay, what kind of features are coming with the truck? But they're not thinking of, okay, if I max this thing out every single day, say I'm a tandem dump truck, and I'm full every single day, going in this area every single day, what's the best one to buy?
Yes.
I don't know anyone that can give accurate data based off of repair history and just understanding this axle placements. And so, there's a lot there. So again, I could ramble about that for a long time, but that's super exciting.
It's interesting for sure to see where that data could go and what we could find. Right now, obviously, we don't have enough data to see or even look at for trends, but over time in a few years, it would be interesting to see what comes out of it for reliability and that kind of thing for the vehicles.
I think it's phenomenal. So, so you mentioned the anonymous part. So that was going to be one of my questions. So we're doing in another series, kind of focusing on cybersecurity and carrier data management. So when the data is uploaded, it's anonymous. Then you said, like in the portal, or how does that work? Whatever you're allowed to share.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Josh. So yeah, I know a thing or two about data security. So yeah, so we here at ReadyChek, we follow, it's called PIPEDA, and it's Canada's regulations around data privacy. Most provinces have adopted the same federal regulations that the government put out, but BC, Alberta, and Quebec have come up with their own. Well, it's probably based on PIPEDA, but just about data privacy. But the high level concern is, make sure you're only collecting the data you actually need. And that's what we do. We're not asking you for your credit card numbers or social insurance numbers or anything else like that. We just want to know what your first name is, your last name, and your email address. So we do
like the basics,
yeah,
phone number, email address, things like that. Anybody who drives from their home and wants to be able to do sort of a quick location address, in our quick buttons, they can enter their home address and it'll, put that in for them, but it's not a requirement. Absolutely. So all of that data is just what we need and what the operator would need to do business with his employees.
Yeah. And so with that data, we do keep it anonymized in the sense that obviously we can know who you are. We know we have your username, your email address, your first name, your last name. But after we know that, we've assigned basically a random ID to you at that point, and that's the value that gets passed around, right? So at that point, after you've signed in, now all of this stuff that happens that you do and everything, it's just recorded to that ID, right? So we've separated the two. Yet if we had to trace back for problem's sake, we could find out, say, Bob over here, he had a problem this morning. We'll reach out to him and see if we can help him, right? So, and another key thing too about our data is we're a Canadian company. We serve Canadians all across the country, and we keep the data in Canada, right? So by it being in Canada, this is hugely important. This is why Europe came out with the GDPR, but you want to keep your fellow countrymen and women, you want to keep that data in the country that they're in Canada, so that it's governed by Canadian laws, right? And so that's another thing we're really passionate about, and we make sure it happens.
Powerful.
Yeah.
This is awesome. You guys get me excited. This is really good.
Well, you might want to mention that you're the security officer.
Yeah.
He knows the thing to do.
Yeah. No, that's exciting, and that would be I want a deeper dive into that part as well. We do that in a different conversation, but that's really powerful. And I think that's, again, as we're having these conversations, that's really important to know, because there's a lot of uncertainty. If I fill in information, where does it go?
Yes.
And behind the scenes, people know, but as a user, I think that's going to always be a question. And someone gave me the example before when online banking became a thing. Everyone's like, there's no way. Now you do everything literally through an app on your phone. So that's definitely I think just transportation in general is a little behind. When we're talking this tech automation, but that's changing. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's changing quite rapidly, to be honest. From what I've seen around here anyway, in Ontario and Nova Scotia and a couple other places, it's changing quite quickly. Yeah.
And it needs to. I think it's just from an operational, from a cost, from a security standpoint, I think there's more than enough reasons why it needs to. And I think, we're going to ride a really nice wave. You guys will absolutely ride a really nice wave as things become, as we learn more, and as you guys continue to be empathetic and eager to adapt and to work with clients. I think you have a really exciting future. What you're allowed to share. I get that there's confidentiality and secrets and competition, so I don't want to pry, but just people listening, what's the number one and two, whatever you're comfortable sharing, advancements that ReadyChek's going to be doing over the next little bit that you're comfortable sharing? I just like knowing where people are going. I think that's exciting.
Well, obviously, in general, we're really big on usability of the app. We want to make sure that, it doesn't interfere with your day job, right? Like the worst is technology that actually slows you down. We're not that at all. So that's our number one goal, is to ensure we have great usability. You know, and we kind of touched on it there too. We're collecting lots of data now, and how can we utilize that data, right? Is there a way we could help our customers, our drivers, our operators understand what's happening in their fleet, right? So we're definitely looking at that. A lot of, you know, big data, machine learning, AI on some anonymous data. So yeah, so that's one of the things we're kind of looking at.
Yeah, and the usability we focused really hard initially on the app itself and the driver experience, and making sure that it was easy to record the inspections and do everything they needed to do. But now we're looking at some of the needs of the operator and the safety managers. So the ones who prefer to work actually from their phone, because they're not only the operator, they're also a driver. So there are things that they don't want to do in the web portal that we set up for the safety manager, but it's actually being done by the operator, and he's in the field more often than he's in the office. So we want to try to make some things that we started out making them available in the web portal. Some of the administrative things, adding trucks, editing trucks, things like that. We wanted to start putting some of that functionality in the app for the operators to be able to work remotely as well. Just this past week, we added the ability to update your truck picture and things like that from the app. Nice. As opposed to having to move your picture to a computer to put it in the web portal to upload it into your truck. Nice. So things like that we're looking at, as well as the repairs that are currently done in the app. We want to be able to make it so that operators can record repairs, or the person who is in the office, who's the mechanic who doesn't go out, but he does the repair. We want to make it so that he can actually go in the inspections and mark where things are repaired. So cross functionality on the two platforms. We want to try to add what's missing on each to the other, so that you can, more people with different use cases can do the same things. Smart. So usability is big, figuring out how to use the data is big. And I'll continue to do the surveys with our customers and keep asking them in terms of what they need next. We're always going to try to hit the most popular request. We're going to do what we can to stay up on what they're finding is their biggest roadblock to using everything and doing what they want. So we're always looking for information back from the customers is, you know what, things are going really great, but wouldn't it be great if I had this?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit, it's a constantly changing roadmap, and it is driven by the customers first and foremost, and then what we can do when the customers are just happily silent. Yeah. We pick what we think would be great next. It's usually more of an administrative thing that just helps the bigger picture.
Right.
Yeah, and we release new functionality about every 2 weeks, right? So we're either new functionality in the portal or new functionality in the app itself. Yeah, so we have a two week release cycle. So
yeah,
that's really exciting. Yeah, this is awesome. So just kind of as we come to a close, were there any final thoughts that you wanted to share, anything that our listeners needed to know, as well as how do people get in contact with you, learn more about ReadyChek, like website, email, that kind of stuff? But we'll start with anything, final things that you'd like to share. It's an open platform.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, like we said earlier, the app is perfectly designed for the 160 or less crowd, and it can be used. You know, originally we did design it for Ontario, but now, you know, we've expanded for you know, basically every jurisdiction across the country. We have NSC standard 13 as well. Oh, the one thing I should say is that we don't have a French version yet, so we will definitely look at that as soon as we get our first Quebec customer, though. But so little problem there, but we'll definitely take care of it as soon as somebody there says, hey, we want to use ReadyChek. So
yeah, we just have to get the French
yeah,
thing worked
just
out.
Translate it.
Yeah.
and then yeah, just one quick thing is ReadyChek, and then ready is spelled normally, so READY, and then check, we've left out the second C, so it's CHEK.ca, so ReadyChek.ca.
Yeah, ReadyChek.ca. We also have Instagram, Twitter. Everything is just there under Facebook is under ReadyChek. So again, READYCHEK. We also have ReadyChek.com, but with ReadyChek.ca, doesn't matter if you spell it right or you spell it wrong, you'll find us. But yeah, we're pretty easy. If you go to our website, we have a contact form. Any of the social media outlets, anything is good. So
incredible. Well, honestly, Michelle and Chad, I've learned a lot. I like being in these conversations with people that get to the max what they're doing, from the market research stories to obviously the product solutions, where it's going as well is really, really exciting, because being a newly launched product for a massive niche audience, like, you have so much potential, and it's nice, again, getting to know you guys, knowing that, okay, you care. That's a big thing for me. You're empathetic, and yeah, it's really exciting. So I'll share anywhere and anytime that I can. I'll definitely spread the word too, because it's just, yeah, it's a really cool thing to get behind too, because again, TriShield, another really just, you said a lot of things. I was like, oh, good. Okay, good. Like, it's really good. And I can tell you understand your audience, you understand the need of the market, and just like Chad, like you said, like it's being accepted really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really powerful. So yeah. So was there any last things that you want to say, or how are you guys feeling?
I don't know. I feel like we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Well,
this was absolutely. So and I highly recommend anyone listening to check out ReadyChek. So yeah, it's Ready, CHEK.ca. Check them out on social media. And as always, I share all of their contact details in the show notes. And I just, really, really encourage you just to, go to their website, even do the contact form, and just say, hey, I want to have a conversation. This is what I'm up against. Can you help? And then, my other influencers that graciously share just podcast episodes and stuff, I ask that you share this to your audience too, because as we've highlighted a few times, we all know somebody that's operating a vehicle that needs an inspection done, and this is a really viable solution. So there's my call to action and my influencer friends out there too. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chad and Michelle. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.